Hello everybody. This time we learn about a trick in PowerPoint which I believe every PowerPoint user, every hardcore PowerPoint users must be knowing that inside out. And before I begin talking about that trick, let me show some of the examples which I picked up from the internet, publicly available data, several investor presentations, the annual report, and some of the reports which are easily available, accessible by all. And I'm just going to walk you through some of these. So this is one illustration from a UN report, and notice how cleanly the shapes have been drawn and been placed. The distances between them are absolutely symmetrical. How about this? This is from one of the reports made by Bain & Company on diamond industry, and it is a very informative report. More than that, if I look at the aesthetics part of these shapes, the distances between the arrows absolutely symmetrical. This is from Shell Company, and I looked at these three site pictures and the distances between them, the height absolutely equal. This is from Canon India. It's an investor presentation dating back to August 2014, and you'll see the pictures how closely they are placed, and yet the distances seem to be absolutely equal. So what are the tricks which can help you achieve this? Of course, I'm not referring to the idea of moving the pictures left, 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 right, right, right. No, those were initial traditional techniques. Primitive, very primitive. Let's see. In fact, after you've seen this trick a couple of videos, you'll achieve this status, which I'm going to show to you right now. Let's assume there were few pictures and they was all haphazardly placed, right? If you have to place them horizontally, and if you know the correct technique, how fast can you do it? Well, let me just quickly show you a quick demonstration. Done. Of course, the sizes are equal. Their width was supposed to be equal. All right. How about placing them vertically on the right hand side? Okay, let me test this out. Oh. So just few keystrokes here and there, and you are able to get this done. In fact, I was a little slow just to make sure you get a basic idea what's happening in the background. But had I been really fast, it would be something like this. Notice equal distances. Perfect. And let me do one thing. Let me ask you to open a new file by pressing Ctrl N. And as you press Ctrl N, a new deck opens up. I'm just going to get rid of these text boxes by pressing Ctrl A and delete. Now, let's assume that I am drawing a square or maybe a rectangle, and I'm just putting it there. Now I'm just making some quick replicas by pressing Ctrl D multiple times, and I'm just placing them haphazardly. Now after having placed them so, let me see if I can realign them in the correct way, maybe on the left hand side of the slide, or on the right, or in the middle part of the slide. So let's say I want to spread these shapes all across the slide evenly. That's case study 1, which we now delve into. I choose the entire block of the shapes. Of course, if you have another group of text boxes or any other element which you do not want to be a part of the alignment, please don't press Ctrl A, because Ctrl A ensures that also that is selected. So I'm choosing the selection, going to format. Now I find this button called align, and I just take a minute to ponder over what are the things that are there inside here. Now by the look of the icon, I can have a small guess that maybe if I have a different pictures or shapes and I want to distribute them horizontally across the slide with equal distances between them, I might be using distribute horizontally. Or if I want to make sure all of them are aligned to the left of the slide, maybe this. But before I begin talking about those icons, I want to focus more on these two parts. So it says align to slide and it says align selected objects. First, if you wish to align the entire group of shapes and objects, and those should take up the entire area of the slide, then we'll be going for align to slide. Let me show a quick demo before we go into align selected objects. I have already made the mark and align to slide. Now let me click on distribute horizontally. Now the distance, this first distance equal to the second, equal to third, equal to fourth, equal to fifth, and equal to sixth distance. Let me go back to align and say maybe align to the top. Notice what happened? align to the top of the slide? How about align bottom? How about align middle? Now, why am I choosing middle? Because the icon is showing me that if there are pictures or shapes horizontally placed, then I may want to put them in the middle of the slide. Now, a similar pattern can be observed if you were to go for align vertical. So if I choose the entire block, as usual, choosing all of them, I go to format, I go to align. Now, by any chance, if you first press align center, see what happens. All of them have collided and the center point has become single point. Now, what if I align and say, please distribute these overlapping objects and shape vertically? How about align to the right? Correct. So when I'm talking about align to slide, that's the gear meant for making sure the objects or the shape that you are aligning, they use the edge of the slide as the boundary, and then the alignment occurs. Here we continue with our discussion on alignment. In fact, in one of our previous videos, we had seen what is the meaning of align to slide. This time, I'll show you the meaning of align selected objects and we'll see the contrast between the two. Because if you make the correct judgment, your alignment action will be very smooth. Now, in this case, let's say I'm sticking to one of my previous discussions technique, which is align to slide horizontally. So I go to align, the gear is align to slide, and I choose distribute horizontally along with the fact align to the top. Now notice the entire set of 4 rectangles have captured the entire slide, ensuring that the edge of the slides are taken as the benchmark to decide upon the distances between them. Now what if there was a small shape or a text box on the left and you wanted to ensure that the alignment actually does not encroach upon that area? So how do you do it? Well, let me show this trick to you. First, let me decide by placing 2 of these pictures, and what I'm deciding is the boundary. That means the area within which the alignment should happen. Then after choosing that, I go to align. Let me change the gear to align selected objects. Okay, I did it. Nothing visible happens. After this, I go to align and choose distribute horizontally. Notice now the distances are being spread over within the periphery of the object's area. I go back to align and say align middle. Perfect. Similarly, if I had to place them maybe vertically, how would I do it? Let me again make sure I choose the boundary by placing the last picture somewhere out here and the first picture somewhere out here. Now, if I now go ahead and choose the area and again go to align, distribute vertically and align left, notice now the objects are being considered as the area in which the alignment should happen. Now you might ask me that, look, I have seen this, but I'm not able to ensure that the middle of this entire group of 4 rectangles are exactly equal to middle of the slide. For which what I do, I simply group it. Group what? Group all these blue rectangles, Control G. And now I go to align and then say please align to slide, which is already chosen since it's just one unit. And then I say align middle. Notice now this is exactly in the middle of the slide. So there are various combinations you can make use of while using alignment. And in fact, before I close this session and show you more tricks, let me ungroup this entire unit of blue rectangles by pressing Ctrl Shift G, G for Gangtok, G for Goa. Now, if suppose I am being asked to spread these over the entire slide, okay, so I choose the entire rectangles, align, let me change the gear to align to slide, and then ahead of it, let me go and say distribute vertically. Perfect. Now the distances between the edge of the slide and the intermittent distances amongst the shapes are absolutely equal. So in general, first you decide the right gear, which could be aligned to slide or which could be align selected objects. After you have chosen the correct gear, then you go for at least two tricks. One could be align middle or center, and one could be distribute horizontally and vertically. So if I look at the group, this is block 1, this is block 2, this is block 3A and block 3B. Now, Time for some ninja level shortcut keys with respect to aligning objects. And in fact, let me undo something from my screen right now before I show you the trick which I have been applying to do this alignment quite fast. And I'll take you through one step at a time. Now what happens, since we are using alignment quite so often in PowerPoint, we would be glad if we could know and work with the shortcut keys. How do I develop my own shortcut keys? Well, let me show you how. If you choose at least one or two odd shapes from the slide, then go to align. Now this will be deactivated if you have not chosen any of the objects. So make sure that you use some of the objects from the slide. Next, you right click on the align tab. Now please note, right click, not left click. Right click. Left click would give this and right click would give this. So I'm going to right click and it says add to quick access toolbar. Now as soon as I added, it appears on my quick access toolbar. Some of you may have this quick access toolbar below the ribbon out here. Some of you would have it above the ribbon. Either ways, you'll see a fourth icon appear. In some cases, if any user has already added the icon, this might be 6th or 7th or maybe even 8th icon on the QAT. Now, how to use QAT? This is something we have seen in the past in one of our earlier videos, but I'll show it again. I'll quickly choose all the 4 rectangles. Let's say I wish to align them as per horizontal manner. And this is the periphery we have decided within which the entire alignment activity should take place. So I choose all these 4 rectangles. Notice sometimes if you have not encroached extra area, this one may be left. So I'm pressing Control key and then choosing the 4th icon. Now I'm going to go a little slow. I'll press Alt key, ALT, Alt key and release it. Notice the key tip appears on the top of the QAT, quick access toolbar, as well as the ribbon. Now the digit which is standing right on top of the align of QAT is digit 4. I'm just going to point out here, but I'm going to press 4 from the keyboard. Okay. Now the best part about this is the button that throws up is very logically aligned. For example, L for left, C for center, R for right, T for top, M for middle, B for bottom, H for horizontal, and V for vertical. None of these you need to mug up or remember separately because it's very logical. If you have to align left, you just have to press L now. Okay, I'm going to press L. Now, since my gear which is there in the align is set to align to slide, it just jumped back beyond this gray picture and has been aligned to the slide. Let me just go back few steps and then again Alt, in my case digit 4, and let me change the gear first from align to slide to selected objects by pressing O from the keyboard. Nothing visible happens, but the gear has changed. Now I press Alt 4 again, and if I wish that it should be aligned horizontally, I'll press H from the keyboard. Once again I go to Alt 4, and if I want them to align as per the topmost picture, then T. So with speed I can just make a lot of changes. For example, Alt 4, I change the gear to align to slide by clicking on letter A. Then I say Alt 4, distribute them vertically across the slide, so V. Alright. Now finally Alt 4R. Correct? So as you gain practice about this QAT technique of Alt, in my case digit 4, and then going to the relevant button, this will be a very fast technique. This time let's see one of the exercises that we can apply using alignment technique. So I have before me 4 pictures of unequal dimensions. So for example, the x is to y ratio, the length equal to breadth ratio will be slightly different from that of the other picture. So how do I align them such that they may look like this? This is one sample, extreme left align. They look very organized. Maybe how about this? And how about this? So we'll use all our learning so far and use the shortcut key from the quick access toolbar to make this happen. But first, a new technique. What is the technique? Let me do one thing. Let me copy all these pictures in the test area. Now, as a design principle, if you're keeping the pictures vertically, one on top of each other, it's a good idea to make sure that the width of the pictures are equal. Now, of course, to make it so, I'm not going to stretch that particular part of the picture. No. What we'll do is, we'll choose all the pictures one by one. Next, we go to format. Okay. And then we go to the width and just type in a number, let's say 2.2, enter. And now we'll do the alignment part. So first decide, do you want to align the entire set of pictures vertically across the slide? Okay. So I'm going to press Alt digit 4. It brings up the alignment. It's the same alignment as you would have under format align. So I'm using the shortcut key this time, Alt 4. I'll check if the alignment gear is as per align to slide. It is, but if you had to change, you had to press letter A. Next, Alt 4 and pressing V for distribute vertically. Okay, the distances between them are now equal. Now again, Alt 4 and maybe C, center of the slide, Alt 4, L. If you want to move a little on the right, you might use the right arrow key. So try this small exercise and make it happen somewhat like this. Although my personal opinion is just draw a simple semi-gray border around it and it looks wonderfully professionally placed on the slides. We'll continue with the exercises on alignment of pictures. So I'm going to one of the slides where I have some sample pictures from Mumbai. I'm going to copy all these 4 pictures and place it to, let's say, a blank slide. So I'm inserting a new blank slide and pasting the pictures there. Now let's say I want to align them horizontally. Okay. Now if I had to align these pictures vertically, the design principle said the width should be equal. How about if I am placing them horizontally, in which case the height should be equal? So let me do one thing. Let me just check a sample height of the picture, which is close to 1.5. I choose all these 4 pictures and bring about the height to be 1.5. Now, you decide on the sequence if you want this picture second or maybe this third and this fourth. Now, if you wish to align them quickly across the slide horizontally, I'm choosing all the pictures, Alt 4, checking out the gear. Is it as per slide? Yep, I can see that. I'm going to press A in case it would not have been the case. But right now, since it's already made a tick mark against, I'll be using distribute horizontally, which is H from the keyboard. Okay. How about Alt 4 M? How about Alt 4 and T? Correct? Now the same thing, I had to compress this in lesser space. So maybe I'm deciding that this is the starting point of my picture and let's say this is the ending point of my picture, right? So I choose the all pictures again, Alt 4, this time categorically. I'll have to change the gear to which one? Align selected object by clicking on O of the keyboard. Next, Alt 4 H. How about Alt 4 M? Right. Now notice it has kept some space on the left hand side. It has taken up the area which was given to it. If you want to make it a little more closer, I'm just going to compress this a little more and again repeat the exercise. Alt 4 H. And let's suppose you want to make sure this entire unit is seen as one picture collage and this is right in the center of the slide. So what do? If I do center right now, Alt 4 C, everything will collapse. It wouldn't work. So what do? First I group them, Control G. Now this is considered as one unit. Now if I go to align, Alt 4. Now notice align selected objects is disabled. Why? Because it is being seen as one single object. And now if I say please align center, let me click on the C from the keyboard. How about Alt 4 M, M for middle? And this is something we saw which even one of the companies from India had performed on some of the pictures. So using various strategies and the gears aligned to slide or align selected objects, we can do a lot of things and really fast and accurate using the alignment tab. But this time, let me give you a practical exercise. I would insist that you take some time out and try to replicate this particular illustration. I know you would come across certain hurdles, for example, how to create this, or maybe how to ensure that this middle point of this entire cluster is equal to the middle point of the remaining 2 shapes. So let me take it break by break. And this is going to be a little fast because I'm assuming that you would have performed the previous couple of exercises on shortcuts of alignment. So I'm going to include a new blank slide. All right. Now I'm going to use some of the techniques from our previous videos also. So I go to shapes, rectangle. Maybe this is the size that I'm looking for. Coloring part I'll talk about later, but as of now, if I use shift control, I'm keeping shift control pressed from the keyboard and just drawing quick replicas. Now, replicas creation is just one fast way of generating some of the rectangles, but it doesn't ensure that the distances between them are equal. So later, as you may see, decide that the distances between them should not be that much. You can definitely bring them closer and then use the align tab. So I'm going to press Alt 4. And is it align selected objects? Yes, it is. I can see from the tick mark against this. And then I press V, that's mean distribute vertically. Then Alt 4, C, center. Now this is one cluster. Huh? Next cluster I would want is, which should be a square in the middle. Now, if I go to insert, I go to shape, I go to this rectangle. How do I draw a square? If you remember from the past few discussions, press shift and then draw that. Now, if you are using 2013, notice it quickly tells you, in fact, it snaps to the grid when you try to stop by, that it is the square which is also matching with the dimensions of the previous group. Now, after having done that, what do I do next? I'm going to simply group this cluster, Control G, Shift Control, keeping it pressed and then making a replica. So now there are 3 clusters. It's not 7 clusters. Now, when I do that, I do have a task at hand to make sure they are in the middle of the slide. So I first group them together. Okay. Then I say, go to format and align middle, align center. And probably I'll just use the up arrow key to make sure they get shift a little bit on the upper side. Then again, I choose the entire cluster, press Ctrl Shift G. Now, the distances between them, are they equal? How do I ensure? I go to align, selected objects, and then do what? Distribute horizontally. So even a slight adjustment to ensure the accuracy is maintained is incorporated, right? Now you may have another question, which is, how do I create this with differential colors? Question is, how do you create this? It looks like a rotated square, but I want 3 differential colors. First blue, then green, and perhaps followed by gray. Okay, now how do I make that happen? This is the exercise all about. So let me do one thing, clear this out, or maybe keep it aside on somewhere on the top, or maybe even let it be there. I first go to insert, shapes, and I'm going to create a square. Later I can change the size of the square. As of now, I'm just keeping it medium. Now, what I do next is I go to shapes again, and I'll look for this 90 degree. Now, if you could remember, anytime you press shift and draw a shape, it is going to hold the symmetry. Similarly, if I'm drawing a shape without using shift, notice there is no symmetry. You are using your visual judgment. So I go back, insert, shape, and clicking on the 90 degree triangle, pressing shift and drawing one. Correct? Now this is going to be on top of this one. I'm going to change the color to, let's say, blue. All right. And the underlying one, I perhaps may want to make it as the same color as the report, that is green, which is there. And the third one I would want to be gray. Okay. Now how do I create that? I'll use this as a benchmark and I press Ctrl D. It creates a replica, correct? I press Alt right, keeping Alt pressed all the time. This allows me to rotate them in a perfect increment of a few degrees. So I'm going to put it there. As you notice, the markers, the small dotted line, the markers are telling you that it's right on the top right hand side corner of the square, right? Again, let me change the color, which is a shape color gray. Now finally, I will decide to remove all the outlines. So I'm going to change this to shape outline, no outline. Now I'm going to group them, Control G. Now when I rotate the entire object, Alt left, notice, or maybe Alt right, depending on where do you want the blue or do you want the gray first. So this is a quick trick you can also apply to make sure you can create illustrations which are otherwise very difficult to create. What did I use? I had used Alt for rotation, I had used Shift before drawing a shape, and I also use the simple markers that come up when you hold on to multiple shapes and objects, and they, through the dotted line, show you how close or how far they are in terms of distance. Practice this, and we'll do more of such stuffs ahead.